All right, folks, what do you want to know on a Sunday night? Do you want to know about Casey's new studio? Do you want to know why his beard is not gray? Well, we've got the answers to these questions and a whole lot more in a new episode of the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast. That's right.
Yes.
Nothing says peace and quiet quite like the kids getting out of the house. I'm Kevin Kelly, and of course the man who made all this possible, the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast, that's Casey Thompson. Casey, about how many different times did you appear on WCW? Is there an accurate count, an inaccurate count? How many?
Okay. I will answer that in 1 second, but I had to tell you something because my mind, I will forget.
Yeah.
So you know how you see these reels on on social media, and it's always these kids doing these horrible spots and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
One kid, it was a big kid, like a fat kid, and he got up into the drop kick. All right, it was pretty impressive. But you know what he did while doing the drop kick? He slapped his thigh. So
What?
I posted, why would you slap your leg on a drop kick? And someone else, and I think the promotion Vermont Wrestling.
Okay, sure.
You know, those people, that's the group it's from, right? One of the keyboard warriors that probably sets up the chairs or something, but hey, whatever. He's like, more importantly, but more importantly, why would you say on your Facebook that you used to be employed by WCW, only have 6 matches, and WWF, and you never wrestled for them? And I just like, whatever, bro. I didn't reply to it because I thought it was kind of just ridiculous. And because I know that the IRS sure as hell knew that I wrestled more than 6 matches when I used to get 1099s from every state that we wrestled in that had state income taxes, and all that stuff. So I didn't reply. My son's like, why don't you say something? I said, I don't really care. I said, the difference is they are behind a keyboard and I was in the ring. I did it.
Right.
I was there. So it doesn't matter if I wrestled 1 time, it's more than they did. But to answer your question, the most accurate count I can count is many. Many. I mean,
like,
honestly,
how many?
It was years worth of it. So
yeah, you started going like in 92?
90.
Okay.
First match was against Ron Simmons and Butch Reed as Doom.
There you go.
It was me and John Allen, and I was as skinny as a rail, and they threw me around like I was a freaking hacky sack.
Yay!
It was all good.
And then all the way up until what, 99?
When did they close?
2001?
I wrestled right before well, let's see. My last television match was around 2001-ish. Maybe Ron and Don were the tag team champions.
Yeah.
So
I remember you telling that story. So you basically, outside of 1989, you wrestled in WCW for just about the entire time that the Turner organization owned the company.
Yeah.
In some shape, form, or fashion, right?
Yeah. And a lot of bookers.
Brother.
Yeah.
And every time they changed, it was another direction and another way to go. And it's funny because they talk about, a friend of mine asked me, and this is what I wanted to kind of get into with you. They said, I am like just a casual fan. I don't pay attention that much. But I see on the internet that people are saying that Triple H should get fired. And I'm like, yeah, I see that all the time.
What?
Why do they say that? And I said, well, because some people think it's boring. And he's like, I don't think it's boring. I watch it. It seems like an exciting enough show. Then I may not watch it for a while, but I like it. If I could afford the tickets, I would go. That's another story. But if I could afford the tickets, I would go.
Did you see the SmackDown? Tickets were $400, I heard, and it was, I don't know if it was empty before. It's kind of, it's really hard to tell when people post a picture because you have AEW activists that all they care is about AEW and they trash all WWE. WWE diehard fans, all they do is trash AEW. So you don't know really who to believe, you know? And
Right.
and if you ask the promotion, they're sold out. If you ask the boys, you know, back when, you know, how you get paid, there's no one out, you know, so.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, wow, that's pretty bad. I don't know, but I did see someone filmed something during the show, and it looked like a lot of empty seats. Put it this way, more than normal. And
Right.
I would think that have to equate to the ticket prices, wouldn't you think?
Well, what was the town?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
what
know.
town were they in?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
don't.
if they're in a once-a-year town, yeah, it probably is. But if they're in a Las Vegas or a New York,
Right.
or Los Angeles, then they can get those ticket prices. It's a little
Sure.
harder, you know, in sideways Iowa,
Right.
or you know,
Yeah.
backwards Kentucky. I don't know where they were,
And
but the question is it because the booking is boring, or is it because the prices are too high, or is it a combination of both?
you know,
Because the reason I ask this, because this is now every college football coach's nightmare. They lose one game, let's say, or a couple of games, and the boosters are calling for their heads. They want to get them
out of
fired.
here.
Get them out.
Yeah. Don't they
And I
have
always say,
contracts? Don't those coaches
well, of
have
course they do.
contracts?
With
But do they have a WWE
tens of
contract where they have it out whenever they want
no,
it?
no, with with multi-million-dollar buyouts.
Right.
So coach gets fired,
It
he's going to
costs them a
get
lot.
somewhere
Yeah.
between 10 and 50 or 60 million just to go away.
Damn, I should have been a coach.
But it doesn't should have been a coach. It doesn't. Okay, and I say all the time, well, who are you going to replace him with? Well, anybody's better. No, that's not true. And it's the same with bookers.
Sure.
Because every time WCW changed bookers, it's funny that your story fit right into where I was going to go.
I had no clue what you were
Every
talking.
time.
Right, because I had no clue what you're talking about today.
Right, and it was I didn't bring it up until just now. But the idea of, is Triple H as a booker, should he be fired? And is the SmackDown attendance indicative of his crappy booking or just the economics of the thing?
Right.
And if you fired him, who do you replace him with?
Oh, that's sick.
And, you know,
I mean, you would hear Paul Heyman would definitely be someone they would, would float around.
Sure.
See, the thing is, all the great minds of the business are gone, unfortunately, for the most part. They say Michael Hayes is the new Pat Patterson. Okay. But obviously Michael, I don't want to say he's not capable. He's never took control and had, the final say over everything. Otherwise, he would have already done that probably, you'd think, right? Because he's been there, 20-some years probably?
He's been in that spot since the Hardys came around. So he made his transition from just announcing as Doc Hendricks to coming back as the manager of the Hardys. And then, and I don't remember if he had, I never remember him going over to Vince's house to write TV.
Right.
And, because when I was there, it was Bruce,
Cornette.
it was Pat, it was Cornette, and it was Vince Russo.
Right.
Some combination of those four. And
did you see them ever bringing Cornette back?
No.
Not to run it, but to, be... I mean, now it's totally different. I mean, before they had wrestlers. Now they have all TV writers. And it's...
I have a feeling that it would wind up being some executive within TKO.
You're right. And you know what that would do? They complain now. Keep on bitching. Guess what's going to happen? Wrestling has become horrible because an executive, just like you said, Kevin, from TKO, will be like, Hurd or someone like that. I can do that. Yeah, go back to frickin' flipping pizzas there, bud.
Right. See, people don't know because they were too young to remember what it was like and what we lived through as fans of WCW, then getting into the business and wanting to work for WCW, and in your case, working for WCW.
Right.
And having to live through the regime of Jim Herd and all that. You want to know why Ric Flair jumped from WCW to WWF with the belt? It's because of Jim Herd.
Absolutely, yeah.
And no relationship with Ted Turner or anybody saved it, right?
Yeah.
It's the reason he left.
Sure.
Why did Kazuchika Okada leave New Japan Pro Wrestling? Because he hates the owner. The owner, Kidani, hates him. And got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore, and he left.
Wow, that's
because Kidani's not only owner of Bushiroad, you know, they trading card company, but he owns New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he's a big mark.
Yeah.
And a nice guy, but he's always been a big mark. When he was just a money mark, Steve Corino had to figure out a way one night to incorporate him into a match because he had paid his way into a 0-1 match.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's how far back this guy's markdom goes.
And we all know how the money marks that try to be bookers do, huh?
It's genius, right? It always works every single time.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that it wouldn't be, you know, and to our point here, it wouldn't be a wrestling guy.
Right.
Unfortunately, folks, it would be an executive with the same underneath team that's doing the TV writing. So the Michael Hayeses and, you know,
what has the final say of butchering it?
Who wins the title match? Who wins?
Hey, let me ask you, Kevin, if now we had a guy that had a ton of money and said, you know what, I want to have like a TNA level, Ring of Honor level promotion. I want you to put together a who's available and alive today, a booking, a writer's, a booker, or however you want. Who would you pick that is available and say that they would do it? You know, like say, you know, Cornette doesn't want to do things. Just say hypothetically, he would do it if you called him. Who would you want?
Well, I would want Jim.
You have Jim. You have Dutch Mantel. You have some good guys still out there.
We do. I would have Dutch Mantel involved. I certainly would have had Kevin Sullivan involved.
Yeah.
So with Jim and with Dutch, I think that would be it. Then I would start to build up some people underneath them, because you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
And I want the guys working together who are going to get along. And Jim and Dutch get along famously. They're great friends.
Oh, okay.
And this, of course, is all hypothetical, because the idea of Jim Cornette taking on this responsibility, as close as I am with him, and if I said, please, pretty please, with sugar on top, he would still say, no, are you effing crazy? I'm not doing it. But, you know, and Dutch, of course, hasn't been in the best of health over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what his physical capabilities are, but you wouldn't necessarily need them to be physically there in the building. I'm trying to think of who's available. And, you know, you'd want to make some calls. One guy that I would probably get involved just because of his social media audience. And I don't know how it would work out. And I don't know what kind of mind he has for the business, but I would ask Maven to be a part of it. Okay.
Gotcha.
And the reason is Maven is current enough and younger than all of us, and yet has a sense and a purpose and a maturity about him to be his own man outside of wrestling.
Right.
And he's got, you know, 600,000 YouTube followers or whatever it is. Not bad. So those would be the type of people that I would look at. Then I would just find a bunch of I would try to talk to wrestlers who
know the business
and that I'm not going to have to fool around with. You know, like what kind of deals are like a Mike Mondo, for example, who's in NWA. I know he knows Cornette and his booking and what he wants inside and out.
Right.
So you want some of those guys who can take the message and deliver it and show through example, this is what Jim wants. This is what Dutch would want. You know what I mean? So you
Someone
have
just said,
to
what
have
about
people.
Bubba Ray Dudley?
Well, there's another one. Okay, now Bubba Ray Dudley is very smart and certainly very gifted when it comes to booking.
Right.
How he gets along with others would be the only question that I would have.
Right.
Because, and that's just it. I want him, and I think Eric Bischoff commented on it. And Bischoff is a name that you would obviously want to talk to and at least pick his brain and maybe have as a consultant.
Right.
Because he knows, do you mind? I'm working. I don't care. Every time I come down here, you're woofing at me now. What is your deal?
There you go.
Do you have any thoughts on who should be the booker of our mythical promotion? No? Reese. Big Chocolate Lab. Anyway,
wow.
I would, she's beautiful. I would have, I'd have the conversation with Bischoff. I'd have the conversation with Bubba Ray Dudley. And
I have one.
That's kind of where I would start. You know a different crew of guys. Who might you relate to, reach out to?
I think Jake the Snake.
Okay.
He has because he's clean, maybe there might be a detriment to his mind of the business, but he has a really great mind for wrestling.
Yeah.
And I remember the one time that I wrestled him, I'm like, oh, I'm wrestling Jake. So I'm like, I was all excited because it's like you're learning, the learning tree and all that stuff. So he's like, so what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I don't know. Okay, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you think? Well, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, come on. I don't want to have to call the whole thing. So I knocked his teeth out, which I literally did, not by on purpose. It's just I tatered him. He got brand new false teeth from Vince, and they popped out during the match. But
now again,
Jake has a great mind for the business. I tell you, someone that you remember, one of the market crashers, Joe, he wouldn't turn into the Sheik.
Yeah.
No, believe it or not, and I can tell you why I know. He has a really good mind for the business.
I know he has a good mind for the business.
What's that?
He's got a ton of heat, though.
I don't care about the heat. I'm just saying, what heat does he have?
With the boys.
I'm just saying, this is our mythical.
All right. But we're having a real conversation.
Right.
We gotta have a real conversation.
I'm just saying, he has a mind for the business, but for the younger generation, because not only it's all new, because he learned a lot from Kevin Sullivan. I trained him, and then he did his own thing. He was in Puerto Rico for a year or two, wrestling for Carlos and Invader and all those guys over there. So he has an understanding of the business, and then he ran his own promotion in Florida. Then he moved out to California and running some of the best wrestling out there in California with the Pro Wrestling Ultra. I think he's up in Oregon now. So, but he has a really, really good mind for the business. And he was real close with Kevin Sullivan also, and learned a lot from Kevin. And I wonder what he has with everyone.
Well, I do know that he was difficult to work with as when he was involved with MLW with Jacob Fatu.
Isn't he still there, though, in MLW?
I have no idea.
Oh, he's a producer now with them, actually.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I know he was difficult with NWA, but that's because the NWA was all a bunch of crazy bullshit anyhow,
Right. Here's a name. I do think Dustin Rhodes would be a good booker and certainly somebody to consider. The only problem is that he's under an AEW contract right now.
Yeah.
So who would be available? Obviously, here's not the best spelling, Scott, but Adam Pearce. Yes, of course. Adam Pearce has history booking Ring of Honor and has been involved in WWE for all of these years. There's two names that I obviously would want involved. One would be this name, and the spelling here is good on this one, Bob Evans, to run training school onboarding. And the other name, and I don't know, I can't remember his WWF tag team name, Darren something, but Fred Rosser. He was tag partners like with Titus O'Neil, and this is probably going back 10 years now. Darren Young, he was in Nexus.
Oh, okay.
He's 42, and I know that just because he put up today's his birthday. Happy birthday, Fred. And,
you know who else's birthday was yesterday, day before? Turned 81 years old, Bugsy McGraw.
Bugsy McGraw, was he born on Halloween or on the 30th?
The 30th.
Gotcha.
I called him because...
Did you go see him?
Yes, I did. I spent quite a while with him. His wife made the most incredible spread of food, not knowing that I only can eat like a little bits of food at a time. So I had to explain it to them because I didn't want them to feel offended or anything. But
right.
His condo is like a freaking museum.
What?
Unbelievable of Bugsy memorabilia when he was the Brutus and all that stuff. Posters from Florida Championship Wrestling from like the 79, 80. And he has, it's just unbelievable. Japanese posters and stuff with Baba, stuff with, I mean, it's just, I was like in awe. I'm like, hold on, Bugsy, I'll be there in a second. I'm going to look at all this stuff here. And yeah, it was great. We had a, he's using a walker. His health is getting better. He's not 100%, but he's getting there. His mind is all there. We had a good time. I really enjoyed it. I think he really enjoyed me doing that, going over to visit him. But, there's not many more guys, in their 80s. Someone else just had Bill the Butcher had a birthday too.
He's 84. I saw 84, that.
Yeah. So
Les Thatcher turned to 81 a few weeks ago. I might talk to Les just because he's worth the conversation and just to get him out of the house.
Right. How about Jeff Jarrett if he was available?
Well,
I would have a rule that your booker could not work at all like Eddie Graham had. Well, Eddie Graham had that with Buddy Rogers. He wouldn't let Buddy Rogers work because Buddy Rogers had a tendency to make it a Buddy Rogers show. So
yes, but and Scott, of course, I'm just teasing about the spelling. I see that. I do appreciate your input here, and obviously
I'm disabled typing too, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, right.
I'll show stuff to Kevin. He's like, "Yeah, it looks good if you spell it right." I'm like, "Fuck you."
Yeah. And Scott says Lance Storm. Lance Storm would be available. Lance Storm would be great to be involved in something like this. Here's another one, which I never thought of and never would have thought of, but I've heard people say that Paul Ellering has a great mind for the business. I would agree. I know he has a great mind, and I know he's a great guy. So that seems like a pretty deep bench, right?
Yeah.
To be able to put something together and to come up with a credible, plausible, logical progression of booking from show to show, week to week, and jumping ahead to big event, working backwards,
right?
And then where you want to be in 2 years, where you want to be in 5 years. Developing
You know what
talent.
I find that it's amazing? WWE doesn't use any of them.
I know. All these people are available.
Yeah. They're using writers from sitcoms and stuff like that. It's just garbage, and AEW doesn't use any of them. Look at it. How about Arn Anderson? He knows the business.
He sure does.
I bet you Tony Khan never once spoke to Arn about anything about the business. Doesn't talk to Jake. Doesn't talk to any of them, I bet. I'm guessing. I
See,
don't
and
know.
they had Arn was a coach, and I have a feeling that if it was, because then it seemed like there were 2 or 3 different shows, because there were the Cody segments that made sense and were interesting and episodic,
Right.
and then there was kind of the convoluted mess with everything else that was just high spots. So I think that in those segments, yes, it made sense. But if Arn Anderson went to Tony and said, that doesn't make any sense at all, why are we doing it? Then you're going to get pushback from Tony because it's what he wants to do.
Right.
And I never heard anybody challenge him, no matter how stupid his ideas were. And
now the head coach is Billy Gunn.
What do you mean, Billy Gunn?
He's the head coach there now. AEW.
Is he really?
Yeah.
They don't listen to him. They don't listen to anybody.
No, he don't care. He just wants, get paid.
Get that
train
check.
Kids. I mean, obviously he knows how to train people. His boys turned out good.
They sure did.
And he had his hands all in that.
I firmly can attest to that and can attest to their talent and abilities. A name that's current that nobody ever really talks about, and he's not, he's out injured. He's supposedly coming back soon, or he's been back. I'm not sure. That I always thought would be a great booker one day is Jay White, Switchblade Jay White.
Okay.
And I just see his mind, the way it works, and he thinks like a producer. He thinks episodically. He thinks not just about moments or matches. He thinks about the implication of the matches down the road. And if we're doing this here, then what does this mean for here? Type of questions that he would ask. And when you ask those type of questions, I told him this. I said, if you want to, you could be the booker of New Japan one day, because he has that type of mind. But who knows?
Does New Japan let American guys book over there?
Well, sure. I mean, Rocky Romero's kind of been involved more as a liaison than a booker, but certainly has
the old Brad
some
Riggins
say
and Dory
in,
Funk.
Kind of what's going on. But no, the Japanese company's always going to have a Japanese booker. That's just the way it is. 80 to 90% of the talent is Japanese, so those are the conversations you have to have. But you can have a very influential foreigner be involved, and I wouldn't have a problem with Rocky. I wouldn't have a problem with Jay White, for example. I wouldn't have a problem with anything.
I'm gonna throw a name at you.
Yeah,
Scott D'Amore.
Well, Scott is available.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Doesn't he have his?
And if you wanted,
Maple Leaf Wrestling, is that his?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. And I think Scott would be very, very good and knows the current landscape of the TV. See, that's part of it too. It's like, okay, Casey, our money guy says, go out and make me a wrestling show. And we hire all these people, but we don't know who's going to shoot it, record it, produce it, get it on the air. Right. Scott could really help in that regard. Sure. He knows the people. Now, here's another question. What about some women's? We want to have women involved. Yes, we do. Well, I can think of 2 names right off the top. Gail Kim and Sarah Stock. And we don't need to go much further than that. There's others. But holy moly, those 2 would be awesome to have.
How do you think, boy, how do you think that would go over in the locker room with taking directions from a woman? I'm not trying to sound that way. I'm just, it's the, question that would have to be asked. If someone's putting up the money and they want to have a woman do it, that's historically has never happened probably at any major organization that I ever heard of.
Women, the women producers generally will produce the women's segments. Right. Which I agree with, because I wouldn't want to be. Now, Dr. Tom was heavily involved in producing the women's matches, and WWF when Sable and Sunny and Luna and all of them were there. Right. And then it was Fit Finlay. And after, in TNA, when the women's matches were drawing the highest ratings of every episode, Dutch Mantel was putting those together. He had a tremendous talent roster, some of the best of all time when you think about it. But yeah, it's difficult. And I know that some wrestlers, some current wrestlers, have talked to me privately about, I feel uneasy when I'm given direction by a woman. And is that wrong of me to feel that way? And I've counseled a couple of them. And I'm like, it's just like any other producer. They want a good match. They want the same thing you want. And if their spots don't make any sense, you treat them just like any other producer if their spots don't make sense. Doesn't matter whether it's guy or girl.
If you're talking to someone about the business, you can talk to someone in 3 minutes and understand if they know the business or not.
Correct.
So, I mean, I haven't really talked to any female, and it's not because they're not out there. It's just I haven't, had the opportunity to talk to any that could really just sit there and talk about the psychology of the business and everything. It'd be interesting to do.
Yeah, you would learn a lot.
Yeah.
I know that, when you talk about, and Sarah Stock, of course, has been in the crosshairs with the AEW sickos over the last few weeks because she used to be a coach in AEW and never held back in her opinions to me or others, same as Jerry Lynn, same as other coaches. And when she spoke out against the fish tank spot with John Moxley, Moxley, Darby Allin. Again, it's one person's opinion. Some people agreed. Some people said it was much ado about nothing. But the AEW sickos attacked her for how dare you speak out against the product, and went far, deep, and wide to try to discredit her. And she was like the Matrix. She just swatted them all away. And it was one brilliant post after another. Oh, wow. And I already was a huge fan of Sarah Stock, and this most recent display of her brilliance made me like her even more. Now, she laid out, and I can't remember, it was at the Forum. I think it was Wrestle Dream a couple of years ago. And I said this last time we were together here on the show. She laid out the finish for a 3-way women's match on the first Wrestle Dream from the LA Forum. It was on the undercard of Shane Strickland and Hangman Page, for those of you that might be looking it up. The 3-women match on that pay-per-view had one of the smartest, simplest, most effective finishes I've ever seen. And that came from Sarah Stock. That was the first thing I did because I was sitting on the sidelines that night. And so I was sort of in the rah-rah chair. I was jumping up and down and was like telling everybody how great they were when they were great. It was a really good pay-per-view. Again, I loved all the talent in AEW and was a huge supporter of them and just thought they were great. A lot of my concerns were always on their long-term health and safety. Why do this? Why do 5 when you can do 1? Conversation.
Yeah. Right.
But Sarah laid out something that was so brilliantly done, just played into the dynamics, the physics of the match, that the first thing I said was, oh my God, who came up with that finish? And Sarah said, oh, that was mine. I said, oh my God, what a finish.
Right.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I freaking loved it. So I mean, that would be definitely a conversation worth having. And Gail Kim was already an executive in TNA. So
how about the elephant in the room? Vince McMahon.
Woo! Hang on a minute.
He's available.
What you're saying, Casey, is that if we started a mythical promotion, if a billionaire handed us a boatload of cash and said, go make me a wrestling show, I want to compete with TNA, I want to do all this and that, we should call Vince McMahon?
That's the first person I would call.
Damn, son. That's the right answer. That's the right answer.
We're going to get a lot of heat for that we're picking Vince.
We're going to get heat for it. And let me tell you, and going back to what Sarah Stock was saying, when she was fighting off all the sickos, she said, and got heat for it, that Vince was always nice to her and treated her with respect.
Right.
And none of us are excusing what he did or making excuses or waving it away. But Casey, you got to call Vince.
Sure,
I got to call
absolutely.
Vince.
Yeah.
I never even thought of him. How could I not have thought of Vince McMahon? But that's the right answer.
Yeah.
God, that's the right answer.
You'd get so much off it, not even the knowledge of the business, but just him being involved in a promotion would be 5 legs up from right off the bat because of
I
who
know
he is.
this. I know this for a fact when I was there, that if Vince was too far away from being on TV, being on Raw on the USA Network, the USA folks would politely raise their hand and say, can we get Vince back on the show? Because he's a draw.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Well, he's probably the greatest heel ever.
As far as, and what they always looked at who does the casual fan know?
Yeah.
Well, they knew Vince McMahon.
He'd really be the greatest heel now.
It would be. He would be. Okay, so let's go back to the original supposition. Triple H is boring. Every fan says, we need to get rid of him. And TKO says, we're listening to the fans. And we're going to replace him. And we're going to bring back Vince McMahon.
That would be great. Their stock share was go up tremendously overnight just by hearing Vince is coming back, I bet.
It would. It definitely would. I mean, they would have to do their due diligence in digging into this legal issue.
Oh, how about this? Tell me this wouldn't be phenomenal. So, just like you said, they're getting rid of Triple H. So, they brought in Stephanie McMahon.
Well, there you go. Now,
wow, imagine that bedroom.
Yeah. There's so much, and of course, if they promoted from within, next man up would probably be Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
You know, Shawn or Stephanie. You'd have to think about it like that. Now, Stephanie running WWE, I'm sure a lot of people said that would happen. Here's another one that, Scott, you're right. What about Shane McMahon? I'd talk to Shane. I love Shane. I think Shane's awesome. I'd have something to offer Shane. Kevin, why don't you ever keep in touch with these people? What am I going to do? Call them up and say hello? No, they're busy. They're busy. I leave people alone.
I know.
They know I think fondly of them, and they think fondly of me, and that's all we need to know.
Yeah.
But you threw out a couple of names that are really interesting, and Jeff Jarrett would be one that you have to consider. And Scott D'Amore, you really have to consider. Because obviously when I start, and the first name that pops into my head is Jim Cornette, but you're never going to get him out of the castle.
Right.
And Dutch, of course, Dutch could be involved, but Dutch's health has not been the best over the last couple of years, and he might not have the interest or the bandwidth to do it. Because it's an all-consuming 24/7 job. But somebody like Scott D'Amore, somebody like Jeff Jarrett, anyone with the last name McMahon.
Sure.
Man, you got to go. And I don't think looking at somebody who currently is a booker, like on the independents, would be the way to go. Because what we're talking about is something bigger.
Yeah, national.
It has nothing to do with the wrestling matches, right?
Right.
What we would do is just make sure that this is our philosophy. What's our business built on?
Yeah.
And you and I would sit there with a few other minds, and we would come up with brainstorm, and let's put together, this is what we believe.
Right.
Are we going to have a heel champion or a babyface champion? Are we going to go with veteran talent, or are we going to look to build with youth?
Right.
Are we interested in names from the past, or are we not worried about that and we'll go the no-name route? Do we have an infinite pot of money, or do we have a finite budget to work with?
Right.
So those are the conversations that you have when you have that conversation. So Casey, how's this pot of gold coming up? Are we getting?
Oh no, this is hypothetical. Oh,
I know, but
that's Kevin's buddy. So Vince Russo, they asked.
Wait a minute, Vince Russo. Oh yeah, hang on. All right, so Vince Russo was in the news this week because it looked like he was announcing or was being announced as one of the writers for the NWA, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's interesting, cool." And then, excuse me, then it turned out to be a swerve, and he's actually writing for Juggalo Championship Wrestling. So
yeah, he's more suited for that.
Yeah, and they're comfortable with him. Again, you want to have somebody that you're comfortable with.
Right.
So somebody that you can relate to, which goes back to why I think if they replaced Triple H as Booker, they would just have some executive in that chair from a TKO and then worry about the wrestling later on.
Yeah, the wrestling's they don't care about the in-ring product at all.
No.
They care about what they can make money off of. That's it.
Right. And we don't know the conversations that are going on behind the scenes. Yeah. Does Triple H fight with them on every single decision? Because that's brutal.
Yeah.
If you're dug in, like when Jim Cornette was writing with Vince, they didn't fight, like cats and dogs on every decision, but that was more when Russo was involved and Cornette was trying to explain to Vince how he thought all of Russo's ideas were stupid, and here's why. And example after example after example, and that led to a lot of heat between those two, which Vince McMahon loved because he enjoys it.
Right.
And he got a tickle out of it. And so that's the reason why he kept bringing Russo around, and he listened to Russo. He liked Vince.
Yeah.
And through that filter, they turned out some pretty damn good TV. But yeah, we don't know what kind of conversations are having or being had. We don't know who's yelling and screaming at whom, if there is any.
Right.
I'm not sure. Obviously, if they're looking at the bottom line, I would imagine that the biggest thing that they're focused on is budget.
Yeah.
So how much we're paying these wrestlers and for what?
Oh, yeah.
If they're seeing a bunch of empty seats, it means tickets aren't selling. That means, why are we paying all these people? And then does Triple H put the brakes on and say, well, wait a second? Or does he go, as Johnny Ace would, well, I agree with you, fire everybody? So here's another one, which I do like. And if Cody was available, hell yeah.
I think that's what his end game is going to be. He wants to live out his legacy as behind the scenes running the show when his in-ring time is over.
I think so.
I think he'll do good. I mean, one, he has all the journals, so I mean, he has. I mean, you don't have there, but you have all the journals to be able to refer and study, and then you mix it with current stuff, and you probably can come up with some really cool things, I bet.
Mm-hmm. And when I think it took Dusty. So Dusty was the booker, Starrcade 83. And then in 84, he was getting his talent lined up. And then 85 is when things started to take off. And then, of course, 86, 87, peak years.
Yeah.
88, still peak, starting to show some creaks as they expanded too far and wide beyond the Southeast. And then, of course, leading to financial difficulties for the Crockett family, which then led to them selling in 89. Casey debuts for them in 90, and all is well.
Yeah,
Hey, did you? Okay, so all the bookers on the K. Allen Fries, the Bob Engels or whatever their names are, all these suits, right? Did they ever come around to TV and say, "Go get them, boys, you're doing a great job," or some stupid thing like that?
To be honest, no, I never knew who any of them were. Hell, I didn't realize who some of the bookers were until after a couple of years, where I kind of started figuring out what's what. I knew Dusty was the booker because I knew Dusty, and but we had I was under Ole Bill Watts, when Bill came in, and you took all the pads away. You couldn't go over the top rope. You had to wear a ring jacket. I mean, you couldn't wear the same color as the other guy you were wrestling. I mean, all kinds of really peculiar rules and everything. So, and then Kevin Sullivan, and so it's there's a few of them, but it's it changed a lot towards the end because when Bischoff became the president, he in the end he was in charge, but they'd have Kevin and then have like a bunch of assistants and things like that. So, but it was different than when Dusty was there, because Dusty was the boss as just being the booker. Kevin Sullivan's the booker, but Bischoff was the boss. So it's
right.
They I guess because Bischoff was more hands-on than whoever the suits were, because Bischoff was the suit, so that's why, I guess. But the other suits, I remember. I don't remember seeing many of them around. Doesn't mean they weren't there. I just don't remember.
Right. It's interesting when because again, I never worked in that atmosphere. When I was in, the only ownership change that I ever really went through was Ring of Honor, when it went from just Kerry Silkin owning it to then Sinclair Broadcast Group owning it.
Right.
And even that didn't lead to a lot of changes. Eventually Cornette had enough and went home, and then it was Delirious, and then I was under Delirious. That was how that worked. But it was the same people in charge of WWF when I was there. It was Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
It was the same people in charge of New Japan when I was there, even though there were different presidents. It was the same booker. Everybody knew who to go through. Some of the New Japan presidents had crazy / stupid ideas. One of them asked, why do we have bad guys on the show that people don't like? Why wouldn't we just have people on the show that people like?
Yeah, just give them everything they like, and because it's going to get stale real quick there.
They were like, because you have to have bad to have good.
Yeah.
You have to have ugly to have pretty. You have to have...
Well,
they didn't get
maybe he was like related to Jim Herd. Why don't you have all the bad guys cut their hair?
Yeah. I have a hunchback. And
I remember when Flair got that haircut, too.
Oh, my God.
Because I had the same haircut back then.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
So did I.
I looked at him like, oh, nice hair there, bud.
Yeah, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
Steal my spot? Here, and again, you want to make sure that you stay, in Tennessee. Yeah, Lawler and Jerry Jarrett, they switched around, and Lawler would have the book, and then Dundee would be the other one. Yeah. So Jerry was in charge. Jerry would take the book every once in a while. But when Lawler booked, you saw 25, 30-man cards, all kinds of wild stuff. When Dundee booked it, it was like 12-man, 14 tops, small roster, good crew. You know what I mean? That was
right.
It. And yeah, Jarrett might have the oversee and the oversight. He fired Robert Fuller famously, which led to the Tupelo concession stand brawl, which led to red hot business
Yeah.
because they had nothing else. They fired Fuller and told him and all of his guys to beat it. And so they had like a crew of 8. So they had to figure it out and until they could get more talent in. So
it's funny how like
really
organic
wild.
things really pop the business, like what you just talked about Vince and the whole Montreal screw job, then, just turning heel and just exploded the business, It's just, it's not even things that the great minds of the business are trying to figure out. It just happens, organically.
Right. And something that you had said earlier was Eddie Graham's rule about not, at least for Buddy Rogers, not being on top and being the booker. It's very difficult when you're the booker, as we all know, to not have yourself in a main event spot, to not have yourself in a main spot, because you can always count on yourself to get done what you need to get done.
As good as Dusty was, there was always people complaining because, Dusty's beating us all, it's all Dusty, Dusty, Dusty. So they'd have to calm him down and, But
well, you got to put heat on heels.
Yeah.
So, it's difficult if you have, one man standing up to 4 in the case of the Horsemen. And I know that was always Tully's bitch, was that, Dusty is not Superman.
Yeah.
And we need to get heat. Because if we turn babyface, then the whole thing is dead.
And I was there when Flair was the booker, too. And when Flair was the booker, his matches all turned to shit. He was just chop, 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 because he couldn't do the 2 things because there's so much going into booking. The last thing he was worrying about was what his matches were going to be.
Right. So. It was in his time as booker, which was after George Scott, which came in. George Scott came in after Dusty was fired, and first it was Jim. It was Jim Crockett. Excuse me, and Crockett kind of maintained things until they hired George Scott, but George Scott was not the same George Scott that had been there in the 70s.
Yeah,
and didn't understand the modern television concept, and just promoted Flair and Steamboat, and that was it. And they had the lowest rated clash ever, but you got Flair and Steamboat, which was one of the best 3-match trilogy. The trilogy is one of the best things that ever happened in wrestling. So it happened under the worst booking regime, and then Flair took over, and Flair and Funk and all that was great. But again, when you look at yourself as the booker and as a talent, it's tough, man, because you start even on a small scale. When you're producing a show, and if you've got to go take the headset off and go put the tights on, man, what a pain in the ass.
I never wrestled on any of my shows because a lot of times you ran a show, that means you were the main event, you were the champion. And one thing I want to prove to all the guys wrestling for me, that I didn't have an ego. I wasn't out there trying to, have a Casey show. I didn't wrestle at all. I wanted to have good quality from top to bottom and try to elevate people and get them to the next level. Which that's not, you don't see that much out there either, Everyone wants to keep them where they're at. But I figured the more people I could get elevated would just make us more desirable to get more people want to come wrestle for me.
Correct. And I always thought you did a good job of managing friendships and expectations.
Yeah.
Just because they were your buddy didn't mean that they were going to get a top spot on the show. If you had the right spot for them, then they would be in that spot, but it wasn't an automatic based around, well, we've been buddies with Casey for years.
Yeah.
But you knew guys you could count on.
Yeah. I had an old saying. My saying was, this isn't little league, everyone doesn't get to play. So if you didn't fit my criteria, I didn't care if you're my friend or not. That's just how it was. It's business. Business is business. So
because you knew everybody in Florida.
Oh yeah.
Everybody.
I became popular and hated all in the same week.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because Casey's running his own thing. MXPW is going to be this, that, or the other. And then when they call you and say, brother, and you go, sorry, kid, and had the real conversation with him, didn't lie to him. Again, you told it like it was.
Yeah.
Those are difficult conversations to have.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Did you enjoy it? Did you secretly enjoy it?
No, I mean, fortunate enough that a couple friends that I had that were really close, they were good enough to be where they were, and they were good enough to be on the card, and good enough to put them in the position in the spots I put them, and they would just take it and go from there. But I'll tell you how I was. Steve Madison, you remember him?
Oh yeah.
He broke. Was you there when he broke his ankle during the show?
Yes,
And
I think so.
Yeah, and he finished the match or whatever, and then he showed up the next taping because he actually missed the booking to New Japan because of it. And so he showed up for the next booking, and I handed him an envelope. He's like, "What's this?" I said, "You would have had this anyhow if you had been here. So here you go." And I'll give you another example. When I had paid shows, I always paid the guys really well. A couple $100 when I had my Indian reservation shows, and the Blackheart Dave Johnson, he blew out his knee, but he came to the show, and I still handed him an envelope with the full pay in it. And it's like, wow, not many people would do something like, no one would do anything like that. So, but that's just how I was,
When you have, because again, you have to balance out, and you've got to have the fiduciary responsibility to the people who are paying the freight and to the television network or whatever the channel that you're on, sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. Plus, you have to manage friendships and egos and this and that. You've got to bring the right elements into your locker room.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's a real tricky balance. It is, because there's a lot riding on it, and you got to get it right. The way I hear it, it seems like Triple H is well liked, and I don't hear a lot of disgruntled.
Right.
Now, either that or the disgruntle is very muted because they do a good job of keeping any issues out of social media.
Well,
which is
the thing is, he put his time in. He did what they're doing. He did the grind. He worked hard. So you can't really say much to him,
Right.
It's like he's the kind of boss. He's never going to ask you to do anything that he didn't do. Vince didn't do any of that stuff, but Triple H did. He was talent.
Yeah.
So he's just talent that became office, and that's a tough thing too because you got to be the bad guy when it comes to your friends and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's got to be hard for some of the guys that were real good friends to know where that new line is going to be. So it's I'm surprised Sean Waltman's not up there though.
That's true.
Because Kip, Billy Gunn was. They had him at training at NXT and everything, and then whatever happened, he test positive for PEDs, but it wasn't through the company. It was through a powerlifting contest he was in. But it was prescribed from a doctor, so it was totally legal. But they were like, we have to let you go because of that, some BS stuff. But I guess he's better off.
Yeah, you've got,
at least now.
I mean, you got Sean Waltman. Sean Waltman, I know, I'd heard that he was down doing a guest coaching thing, and obviously, if you could tap into his mind, his creativity, because he loves the business, he follows the current product. He's a big fan of, different people, and is an open advocate for just about everybody. which is great. You know, you'll get the real story and the real feel, but you could be a champion for everybody outwardly, and privately go, this person has it and this person doesn't have it.
Sure.
Doesn't mean they're a bad person and I wouldn't put them on the card, but
it
as
is what
great
it
as
is.
they
It's
are,
business.
as much as I like them, yeah, it's business. Because
and that's the difference. And you can tell the difference in those people, in those kind of shows out there, by people who, you got the Frank Goodmans that, you know, are going to have all the ticket sellers that, you know, 5 matches
right.
or people that are selling all the tickets. I couldn't do that. I couldn't mess up with the integrity of the show, because, you know, that I would rather not run a wrestling show than to have ticket sellers and have a ticket seller battle royal. And I didn't even like using coaches and stuff like that when I ran their show. I just, you know, just that's, I guess, the old grizzled asshole in me or whatever. That's how I was, you know.
But again, you know, if you're putting, and this is something that I know I said all the time with Ring of Honor, I don't think we should have dark matches, because the first match that people are seeing is going to be 2 hopefuls who would love to get a job, or 4 or 6.
Right.
If you want to have a dark match, so to speak, and you want to give guys a tryout, whatever, have it in the middle of the show. Have it right after intermission. But, and part of my rationale was, if we have local photographer, local press at the show, they're going to be there, they're going to shoot the first match, and they're going to get out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And I would want them to see stars. I wouldn't want them to see hopefuls, who may not look as good as the people that I'm paying a lot of money and really understand their business. You know, I'd want a Roderick Strong representing my company in the ring. I'd want an Eddie Edwards. I'd want an Adam Cole. I'd want a Jay Briscoe, somebody like that, you know, that's going to get the press attention locally, as opposed to guys who, you know, may have a little indie buzz, or may just be somebody that we like, maybe somebody who helped out a lot. We put guys on the show in Ring of Honor all the time who came and helped out and busted their ass to try to put the show together. And we knew them. We knew who they were. It wasn't like, we've never heard of you before. But a lot of times I'd go to Cheeseburger. I would say, hey, anybody really stand out today? Because we need one person for a tag. I'll tell you, Kevin, so-and-so over there, yeah, we've seen him before. Oh, wow. He came early. He stayed late. He's a great guy. He worked his ass off today. Okay, cool. Hey, come here, young man. Thanks for all the hard work today. You feel like wrestling? You got your gear? Yes, sir. Yeah. All right, you're in the tag. You're going to take the fall, but I
was just the opposite when it came to that. I didn't want all those guys there, a million indie guys coming there to set up and all that stuff, because and I had people tell me, oh my God, it is so hard to get on one of your shows. What I got to do? You know, because I used who I used, and you know, I had which a lot of people were like, you know, it aggravated them, but you know, I had a certain, you know, I guess qualifying factors. Not that I know what they are. I just knew it when I saw it. And so I didn't have people helping. I didn't have the inbreeders and people like that you see at all these indie shows that are helping set up, because I didn't want to be exposed to all that and asking, hey, can I, you know, no, just leave me alone, you know. So
yeah,
sure, again, you guys can wrestle New Jack tonight.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, never asked me.
How do you feel about? No, that would be the end of that. And again, you a lot of times those situations and those type of people, it winds up being more harm than good. Yeah. What we always did in Ring of Honor, it would be somebody that we had seen in a tryout camp who had worked hard, had done, but just wasn't right for TV for now. But maybe a few months have passed and they're here, they showed up, they look great. We had personally vouched, gone through, and we could say, we know who this person is. We know who trained this person and where they came from.
Speaking of Ring of Honor, is there anyone in your time there that stands out who could be like, you know what, that guy could be the next great mind, you know, the next Pat Patterson for the next generation of the business.
Well, the one name that, of course, I'll go to the grave saying should have been was Steve Corino.
Right.
Steve Carino was the greatest mind that we had in Ring of Honor.
Oh wow.
And just he either never wanted it or wanted it under certain circumstances that, because again, when he was finally asked, do you, Joe Koff and them, the owners, they said, well, what do you want? And he said, I want a raise. Well, obviously, if you want a raise, you want more responsibility. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, what would that look like? And he said, you want to see it? And they said, yes, we want to see it. Okay. And it was a 10-page manifesto when it was all said and done. He sent it to me and he's like, this is what I'm going to send them.
Probably already had it
like,
done, sitting there waiting for that for that conversation. It's like,
pretty much.
Hit send.
Yeah. He didn't have it. It was awesome.
It was already there.
Ring
He
of
just
Honor
had to put it to paper. Yeah.
Yeah. It would have taken Ring of Honor in a completely different direction.
For the better?
I thought so. I absolutely thought so. I thought his ideas, he was going to take the calendar that we had and build it in a slightly different form so that everybody was involved in something.
Right.
It would have a lot of Japanese elements. So there would be factions, there would be groups, everybody had allegiances.
Right.
Not all heels liked all heels. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Not all baby faces liked all the baby faces.
Right.
It would utilize local talent that we had, because we had guys in the Midwest that we could use.
Right.
On Milwaukee, Chicago, Minneapolis shows, Michigan shows that might not make sense if we ran Atlanta or Florida or something like that. We'd have another group of guys from there. And that the calendar would be built. There would be a lot of New Japan because we were working with New Japan at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have our own version of a G1 that we could get some New Japan talent into, but let's have it at a different time than their G1.
Right.
And so it reshaped the entire training system, talent development system, the way we produced our television. It was brilliant. And they just looked at it and said, yeah, great. We really can't do any of this. And we'll just offer you $5,000 more a year. And he was like, I have a $75,000 or $80,000 deal on the table with NXT. I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
So they didn't care. They didn't know what they were looking at. They didn't know what they had. But there you go. But yeah, Carino would be the guy. And because Carino, then
that's a waste of talent now?
Sullivan.
You think that's a waste of talent now? You think it's never going to develop because of that? What's the chance of them giving him the opportunity? No, Carino. You think
Carino,
WWE will ever give him the opportunity to flourish like that?
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
Cog in the wheel.
That's
just
a shame,
what I gather.
Too. Yeah, no, that's such a shame, though.
He used to wake up every day thinking he was going to get fired. Now he realizes he's not going to get fired. But at the same time, he realizes what it is. And he enjoys teaching his class. He enjoys working with the new talent. He enjoys seeing them grow and develop and takes great pride. I think he told me that it was either a year or two years ago that it was like 10 or 12 of people from his class now had made their way finally onto main roster TV.
Oh, wow.
So he took a lot of pride in that. It's very much about everybody else and not about him. He's happy in his life. He lives in North Carolina. He's got no worries or issues. But if you would have told, a 30-year-old Steve Corino, this is where your life's going to be, he wouldn't like it at all. But a 50-year-old Corino, well, 50, he's 52.
My age, yeah.
Same age as you.
Yeah. And he lives in North Carolina, huh?
Yeah.
Was he coming for a couple days a week and then goes back home?
I think so.
Wow.
Flies in every week or something like that. Unless they change his schedule. But he does NXT, he does NXT matches, he'll produce matches on big shows, but they have so many people that they rotate them in and out. Yeah. You don't have a match on this one. You're off this one. Oh, great. That used to be like, what? I would be like panic stricken if I was off. What are you, crazy? I'm going to get fired.
You know, because in wrestling, you want to be involved in every show when you're a wrestler, or, you know, in, you know, talent race relations and stuff like that. No, I don't want to stay home. I want to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Strongbow told me, Chief Jay Strongbow, who gets a ton of heat, you know, within the industry and is not fondly remembered of being a nice person to work with. He gave me some advice. He said, Kevin, you never want to take vacation because they'll find somebody else to replace you.
Yeah, it's like being hurt. You work through it because out of sight, out of mind, you're not there. They're just going to find someone else who can do it for you.
Yeah. So Casey, while you and I are waxing poetic about who could be the booker and who should be the booker and the strengths and weaknesses of said, you are wearing two hats. You are simultaneously working while hosting this podcast.
Yeah. I just
You're doing an amazing job.
I just clocked out a couple minutes ago. So, but yeah, it's that time of the year, busy time. So, but it's all good. Hey, so we had last week. You were out of town. You were traveling.
Yeah.
I know you weren't the most enthusiastic going. Did it turn out to be a good trip?
It did turn out to be a great trip, and in fact, I told everybody that. So Saturday I was in Wichita, Kansas, and I said at the end of, because Bob Evans was doing the in-ring portion and I was doing the promo portion, character development portion, and I told everybody that after we finished our seminar, and you know we had like half an hour to everybody to get ready because then they were going to wrestle on the show. I didn't want to be here at all. I was dreading coming, and I just didn't want to go. But I'm so thankful that I did because I met so many great people and saw so much good talent.
Wow.
There is a guy who he was in one of their main matches and won, or was the defending champion and won. Did he win? I can't remember. No, he won the belt.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. And young African-American man from Texas named Kane Carter, Caine.
Okay.
Kane Carter. Oh. And I want you to remember that name because it's not going to be tomorrow, but maybe within 2 years, if he kind of does what we wanted him to do, he could get there.
Oh, wow.
He's got to spend a little more time in the gym. He's got to start looking the part. He's got to get some new snazzier gear.
Yeah.
He's got to look like more of a star, but he has a star presence. He has the right mind for it in terms of, I'm not going to, throw myself on my head to get a reaction, and understands that it's a patient man's game. But at the same time, he's got to start moving the ball down the field. And one of our big things was, you got to come to the building and you got to look like money because you are money. And that may mean just finding a suit that's inexpensive that you repurpose, that you wear quite frequently. It doesn't have to be new. It just has to be you.
One of the biggest questions I get all the time is like, new talent getting in the business, what would you tell them? I said, it's from A to Z. Spend money on your gear. You want to look the part. You want to look like you're a star. You want to be tan. You want to be in shape. You want to have everything. Yep. I said, then you want to work on your promo skills, your in-ring, your footing, be in the right place, the right time. It's literally A to Z. And then you got to be lucky to make it. So
you got to do all that, and then it's like winning the lottery. Exactly.
Yeah. So you're off, and we did a vlog. So the vlog was, I went to Micro Wrestling Federation. I went to watch the little guys wrestle, and I vlogged it the whole time. First time doing a vlog. That was very interesting. I got messages, "Where's Kevin? He'll be back next week."
And, different show.
Yeah, so we put it into place for that way we didn't go without any content. So it was an interesting. It was a bar setting, and they had a little ring. It was 14 by 14, but the top rope, if I stood into it, would be like a little bit, below my butt, probably. I'd be like a giant in it.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, the biggest complaint was it gave you the vibe of a typical indie bar show. But the
Okay.
lighting was real bad, so it was hard to see it all. If they had lighting up there, it would have been much more enjoyable to watch. I will say they had about a $10,000 house. I did the numbers because
Damn.
you go to shows and look at the house and see what it is, like try to do
Yep.
a guesstimation. I do that all the time. I'm like, most every wrestler ever wrestled, like, oh, yeah, well, we're not getting paid tonight. Oh, we should get a bonus tonight. There's more people here
Right.
than, So, I talked to some of the guys. They go, they, they had their main, um, location in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. They run 4 shows a week there. And then they have that's one show, then they have 2 more shows on the road doing 6 or 7 days a week on the road. And I've seen their schedule. They're everywhere. So, and he said, yeah, they bunch them all up in a room, which I kind of laughed.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
what, are you laying them sideways and put 10 in one room? And he said,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to have your own room, you got to pay for it yourself. So I interviewed the guy that was the boss. His name was, uh, the, what was his name? Little Show.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah,
you
he's
want
the
to know
little
who he
show.
wrestled?
Who?
Andrew the Giant.
Oh Jesus.
Andrew the Giant was a 350-pound midget.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, and he did a thing where he like was going around the ring like a walrus. That's the funniest thing. um, all in all, and then I interviewed one of the other little guys. His name was Mr. Nice. He was in the main event. It was actually a pretty decent little match, nice little finish, and they had and everything. Um, So I interviewed a couple of them and showed some of the clips of the matches and stuff like that. It took forever for me to figure out how to edit it, but now I do. So I learned something. So it's a positive thing. Um, all
Good.
in all, it was worth getting out of that. Me and my girl went, and she's like, you know what? It was worth getting out for the couple hours of the house, doing something. So um, I did find out that the little people or midgets or whatever they called, there's like about 5 or 6 little midget or little people federations out there, like indie groups. Is like just like
Yeah.
they're everywhere. I didn't know there was that many little people in the world, and they all wrestle. It's so
Yes, they
funny.
do.
Oh,
They're running.
oh, and I
Do
said
they have
so.
like outlaw groups running opposition, trying to steal their towns?
Yeah,
What are they doing?
yeah, because my son's like, yeah, they got some other ones called midgets versus dwarfs down here, down in South Florida, and so I asked the guy. I said, what's the difference between all the groups? He's like, well, the home base is, group like 3. We're group A or 1, 2, 3 or ABC. We're 1, and group 2 has females. We have no female talent. They have female talent. And I'm like, well, which one would you rather be on? He's like, oh, I'm the one I like to be on. So I'm like, that's not what I would want to be on. But it was fun. It was I've been to many shows like that, and so it was about a $10,000 house. So, and
Damn.
it wasn't as big as what he says they normally get. So, because they got the whole house, the whole house was theirs and everything. T-shirts were like $45 a piece. I'm like, nah, I was gonna get
Damn.
one. I liked it.
I do remember
Like
Short Sleeve
Samson.
Samson. I love him. He's great. He's I don't know if he's still like super active as a wrestler, but I know that for years he was the guy that if you needed a midget match, you would call him, and he would probably know hey, I'm in somewhere, Ohio, and I need a midget match, or I need a midget to wrestle the other midget, and he might know somebody for you to call.
So
But I know
Chaz
Cody
from the
Hawk.
Headbangers, he
Yeah.
told me that him and Glenn, the office called him and said, "Hey, we have all the little midgets coming in from Mexico. We'll pay for your rental, throw you a couple extra bucks, drive them around, right?" So they threw them all in the back and put on the radio.
Super Astros days, yes.
None of them spoke English.
Nope.
And finally, after about a day or so, they realized, oh, I guess we got to feed these guys. They're like, oh, we hungry. So I had to get Chaz to come on and tell the story. It was a pretty funny story when he was talking about how they almost starved all like the mini Vaders and all those guys when they came in to do all that stuff.
El
He was
Torito.
like, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, not the guys you want in charge of the midgets.
Right.
That's awesome. I love it. And of course, all that footage is available. You see it all over social media, and enjoy Casey's journey, his experience with the Midget Wrestling Federation.
That's right.
And it's okay to call them midgets.
Yeah, next time Kevin's gonna vlog his next experience with Bob Evans, brutal Bob Evans on the road.
I will. I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible at remembering to do it. It's like, we even had magnetic mics.
Oh, really?
That are awesome. That pick up sound. They sound so clear. It's great.
Yeah.
And I had it on my shirt, and I forgot to record myself on my phone. It's like,
yeah,
old brain. All right. So next week, now listen, here's something else I want to do. I want to try to get Brian Solomon. Okay. Brian Solomon wrote the Gorilla Monsoon book.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I want to have him on as a guest, if that'd be all right with you.
Sure,
because the book is supposedly really, really good. Brian interviewed me for, my remembrances of Monsoon, working with him and spending time with him in WWF. But I think that we could really, when you look at somebody who was integral to the in-ring portion of the show, like who were the guys that were already currently in the ring, Casey Thompson, and stories about that. It fits right in with what we've been doing, because Monsoon was the guy with the stopwatch, timing the shows behind the curtain, why they call it the gorilla position.
Sure.
So, very interesting, and I'd like to see if we can get him on in the next week or so.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds good.
Very good. Yeah. I got to get up early, by the way, because now I've switched.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
I did. Now tomorrow will be my first day on days.
Oh, gotcha.
5A to 5P.
Ooh.
So 5P part is fine.
The 5A, it takes a little bit of time to get used to. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm going to wrap up, and then I'm going to head to bed.
All right.
Yeah.
So the show might be going live earlier from now on if this is too late for Kevin.
Well, maybe.
For old man Kevin,
I don't know. No, I mean, it'll be fine. We'll just, again, we make good use of our time. That's for sure.
We'll go back to our 30-minute shows.
That's it.
Hey,
30 minutes
what's
or
going
less,
on,
whether
guys?
you like it or not.
That's it. We're wrapping it up. Okay.
Hurry, quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So Triple H should not be fired, but if he is, I think we've got a few good candidates that could take his spot. And if we were starting our own federation, the first person that we would call is Vince McMahon. That's pretty much what we figured out. And we've got a bunch of other people that we could work with if Vince told us to go screw ourselves. Get out of here. But Vince.
Exactly.
That'd be amazing. All right. So that's going to do it for this edition of the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast. As always, make sure you hit that like button and tell everybody. Share, subscribe, do what you need to do to be part of the journey here each and every week, because you never know where we're going to take you. But I'm Kevin Kelly. We thank you for joining us. For Casey Thompson, we'll see you next week on the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast.